Hey guys, I'm here in my grow room slash laundry room once again. I want to show you a little bit today about what it's like to garden in the winter as a regular busy person. Um, I'm here in my basement at the end of my workday. I work a full-time job. I am a mom of a 7-year-old and a 19-year-old and two stepchildren who are also teenagers. And it's busy, and as much as I'd love to be a master gardener, I am an average gardener. I love gardening. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. It's really amazing. I just saw one of my leaves stand up that I watered earlier today. I feel like I'm pretty good at it, but fail all the time. And I want to share that with you because I think that comes with the territory of gardening. Every year you grow a little bit more. And the hard part about that is it really does take some pretty significant losses to learn those lessons. Sometimes you lose out on an entire season because, you lose a crop and then it's too late to start a new one. And I wanted to bring this to you because, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. You see I'm wearing my Self-Sufficient Me t-shirt. If you haven't watched that channel, check it out. One of my favorites just because the guy, he's just so entertaining and fun to watch. But there are also a lot of channels where it's like I see these people gardening and they seem like they have it all together. Their stuff is nice and neat. They've had time. Their plants aren't dying like mine are. And I think for most of us that's not the case. We garden for fun in our spare time, and that means a lot of times loss or mistakes or showing up on your YouTube channel looking like this because you just worked from home and you didn't need to do anything with yourself. And so, this is what we do. And I have to show up to you in this way today because if I took the time to make everything perfect and do my hair and wear something nice, then I wouldn't have time to do this. So there's really two things I want to share with you today. One is just kind of a tour of the little things that I've started here in February in Minnesota in my grow room. As you can imagine, not everything is going perfectly. And so I'll share those failures with you, but also I'm going to plant some seeds today because it's time. I just gotta say, it's amazing here. I have a space heater running in this room now, along with the grow lights and the smell of the dirt and the smell of the herbs. I walked into my laundry room and I did not smell clean laundry. I smelled outside, and I love that so much better than smelling laundry. So let's take a look at what's growing today. So I think I mentioned in my last video that I think I am cursed for growing basil. A couple of things. I love basil. It is the one thing that if I could have going in my garden and available to me year round, it would be basil. But for some reason, I always tend to mess it up. So let me start with, where is it? This plant right here was a store-bought basil plant that was pretty much down to nothing, and I revived it under the grow lights, and it was doing very, very well. It's still doing pretty well considering how far it's come, but it's a store-bought basil plant. I don't know what I expected from it. So then I watched some videos and somebody suggested, you know what, just overseed a ton of basil in a pot, and that's how you do it. You just keep pruning at it and so on. I messed up somehow. So one of the suggestions was, overseed the pot, and I don't feel like it's super overseeded, so I don't think it's like crowded or anything. The other suggestion was that they like to not be super moist, so I've been really trying not to overwater it. But also, I don't think that I've really let it dry out either, although it looks like it's been dried out. Another thing I think may have happened here is that down here in my basement grow room, it did get pretty cold for a while. So I think, having that cold soil didn't help it very much. But other than maybe having the watering a little bit inconsistent, I don't feel like I've super over or underwatered it. So if you have any thoughts about why this basil could be doing so terribly, let's see if I know what I think this is just plain sweet Genovese basil. You know, it got to about this point, it was a big, bushy, and luscious, and then it just kind of started to cack. I don't know. I pruned, I've used some of it, so I've been pruning off the top, and it was doing awesome. So if you've seen this before, and you know what I did wrong, please let me know, because I have to learn to grow basil, so I have it on hand. On the flip side, look at this tray of basil. It is incredible, and there's so much here, and I really should take it all out and get a better look at it. Here's my lettuce leaf basil. Here's some purple opal basil, and I think, or dark opal basil. Maybe it could use a shot of fertilizer. I don't know why it's not staying purple, but it isn't. But the rest of these varieties of basil, and I think they're all different, are doing amazing. And as much as I wanted to plant these different varieties and then compare them, I've needed to use some because that one's not doing so well. So I've pruned off a few tips off of here. But you can see how amazing this is doing, and that pot was doing equally as amazing, and I don't want this to ever look like that. So it's probably time to start potting these up, or not. I don't know. You tell me. Guys, if you're good at growing basil, can you let me know what I should do next with these? One thing I'm noticing just picking these up, this is really solid. I wonder if I pack these a little firmly than I normally would. So these are doing awesome. This is the Dolce Fresca. I've got some Aroma 2 over here. You can see there's a huge difference in just the growth pattern. Looks like I should do a basil video. Cilantro is another one that I struggle with. This one is, it was just a plain cilantro, generically labeled packet. This is a slow bolt cilantro. It looks like it's doing so much better. They were planted at the same time. Totally different growth. So you can see, I haven't had good luck, but maybe it was just the variety I was growing. Then I've got some lettuces growing here, and these are just one leaf at a time. If you remember, I have a Tom Thumb lettuce in here somewhere that I really should have dug out and given its own pot, but it looks like it's getting leggy trying to catch some sun because it's buried in here. But all of this stuff is doing really well, and I'm excited. I don't even remember what's in here. Sage, savory, oregano, and parsley. Parsley to me is super easy to grow. And spearmint. I don't think I've ever really done well with mint from seed. Of course, if you grow mint, it goes crazy on its own, when it's established. Now I've got some dill growing here. Up here is another failure, sort of. I started some onions, and they seem to be doing fine. But I have a micro tom tomato, and this, I was out of town for a few days, and then when I came home, I felt like the soil looked moist, but then when I touched it, it was crispy on top, and so, 3 of the 6 of these dried out, and when that happens, the ones that survive tend to not do very well either, just because they've been stressed so much. So I'll consider this one a mistake and just hope that they grow, but I'm not going to count on it. Another round of basil I started up here, and some other herbs back here. But these are garlic chives. I would expect them to be up by now, and they're not. But the plants in the back there that are really tall, some of them are cilantro. It looks like a couple types of cilantro. That was a mistake too. When I put those under the light, I think I had them going horizontally this way, in the tray, and then at some point I turned them to make some more space, but I had forgotten to turn on these back 2 sets of lights. So when I came to check on them, they were reaching and stretching to try to get to this light because they didn't have any light over there. So they seem to be okay, but I don't know, they might get too leggy and not do so well. This is just cat grass and a couple of peppers that I started early just for fun. These are peperoncini. They were actually looking kind of dried out, but they seem to have come back. This is the plant that was, when I was talking earlier, this leaf was just kind of hanging here, and as I was talking it stood up like this. It was pretty incredible. Wish I would have caught it on video. And then also, see, this was dry today, I just watered it. And then also this sensitive plant that Molly planted, my 7-year-old, is not very happy. These leaves are toast. I feel bad. And it was doing so well. But that's what happens. I mean, you don't see, it's not even responding to me. That's not good. That makes me sad. Okay, and then down here, these peas are doing pretty awesome. I don't know if they'll continue on that way, but they're doing awesome. Rosemary's doing fine. This basil's doing fine, but it just isn't really an appetizing plant, so I haven't been using it much. These lettuce greens are ready to use anytime I'm ready for a salad, but I've almost killed them one time because, I mean, they're just in this tiny little 1-inch tray, and it's cool that they're growing in there. And then I had let them dry out one day. They perked back up pretty good. Yeah. These are those kind of plants I just picked up randomly at a Fleet Farm, and they're doing not, I mean, they've got this going on, but that's how they were when I bought them. But this philodendron, I don't know, I'm so sorry that I did this to you, little plant, because it wasn't in great shape, but it sure is in rough shape now, and I feel bad. But it's healthy enough that I can bring it back. I don't know if I think I probably underwatered it. It was pretty dry down here. And then my Stromathes Trio Star, luckily my hardest and most challenging plant, is actually doing just fine. This is a garden croton. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but when I got it, it had shoots of bright yellow leaves in here too, and they died and fell off. I don't know. So these want to be moist, not wet, and they like humid. So I think because they were upstairs in my living room and it's dry here in Minnesota, that humidity is just not there. So I'm hoping bringing it down here to the grow room will help. And then this is just more lettuce mix that I probably won't eat, because I have a fridge full of spring mix that I haven't found use for. I just can't bring myself to eat cold foods in this wintertime. And these are radishes. Have you ever grown radishes indoors and let them bulb? Because that's what I'm trying to do here, and it's not doing anything now. I don't know if I should expect it to be doing anything now, but it's not. But man, it'd be cool to be able to grow these inside and just have fresh vegetables in the winter. So you can see, you know, my neighbors and friends and family think I have this incredible green thumb because by the end of the season, I've got these big, strong, healthy plants. I've got incredible harvest, beautiful flowers, and I do all of this from seed. But the real fact of the matter is I lose a lot. I make a lot of mistakes, and the things that survive to the end of the season do, but what you don't see is the failure that comes before that. So right now I am about a week behind what I had planned to start planting some of my outdoor crops. And that's because we were out of town last weekend and I just didn't want to plant something and then leave for 3 days as they were germinating. And so I waited until today, and I'm going to get some peppers at least started today. So let me show you something. I'm trying something a little bit new this year. I normally will put all of my seed starting schedule and that sort of thing, and all of the information associated to it in an Excel spreadsheet. I live in Excel every day for my work. I know how to do it. It's comfortable for me, but this year I'm going to try something a little bit different, just because I didn't like having to get my laptop out every time I came to the grow room, because it felt like work. So this year I picked up the Old Farmers Almanac gardening calendar. What I did was went into this calendar and put in my average last frost date. And for us, that is, I'm in Minnesota, Zone 4B, in the southwest Twin Cities suburbs. That is May 3rd for us this year. I don't usually plant things on the average frost date because I don't want to risk having that frost, because after all, it is an average. So normally I won't plant anything out until Mother's Day. And at this time, I'm still watching the weather report, because if there's any frost or freezing temperatures in the forecast after Mother's Day, I won't plant outside. At least not my warm weather crops. So anyways, I put the date on the calendar, and then for each Saturday prior to that, I put, how many weeks I am. So here I am 0 weeks to our average last frost. Go back to April, I'm 1 week from my average last frost, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and so on. And so we're here. Nope, we're not even here yet. We're not in March. And this is a really cool calendar. Each page also, of course, has a really beautiful photo, but also just some interesting things to read about. This one says, new moon, a garden is always a series of losses set against a few triumphs like life itself. That's what I just said, right? Well, without being so eloquent. But exactly, it's a bunch of losses, to be honest with you. It's a strengthening hobby. But we're here in February, and it is, I don't know, Ash Wednesday today. So today's Ash Wednesday, February 17th. And this weekend is 10 weeks to our average frost date. So at 12 weeks, I wrote in here hot peppers and one of my roasting peppers. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. That I should have really planted back here. But I don't plant a lot of hot peppers because I don't eat spicy food that much, or hot spicy food that much. And so I think I'm going to be just fine planting here. So here at 10 weeks, it says, I wrote this in here, plant shallots at 8 to 10 weeks, onions at 8 to 10 weeks. Rhizotoma grape tomato specifically said you can plant 6 to 10 weeks ahead. And a couple of other varieties of tomato that the seed packet said that I could start planting at this time. So I'm going to plant those. I don't know why my other peppers aren't on here. Let's see. So here at 8 weeks is where, I don't know if you can see, and my writing is sloppy, but this is where most of the stuff needs to be planted in my area. So the first weekend in March. So a lot of the tomatoes, basil that's going to go outside, the strawberries, lovage, oregano, dill, cilantro, ground cherries, and peppers are all 6 to 8 weeks. What I've learned about peppers, though, and I might be wrong, is the quicker I can get them planted, the better, because they do take so long. And also, I tend to lose some, and so I'll plant a batch of peppers, and I try to hold some seeds back for a safety net, because stuff like this happens, and I'll forget to water one day, or maybe I won't forget, but I'll come down and it looks fine, but it really isn't. And so I just kind of have to plan for losses. So I plant my seeds as early as I can, as the seed packet says that I can. So if it says I can plant oregano 6 to 8 weeks prior to last frost, I'll plant it at 8 weeks. That way if I lose it, I can still plant it at 6 weeks and still get it outside and get a harvest. And so this calendar, I'm hoping is going to be really good. Also, I'm planning and hoping to review the pest control and fertilizer that I need to use for each of the plants that I'm growing in the garden this year. So I'll have to take a time to sit down and research those things, because I want to put the fertilizer and pest control measures on here too, so that I don't forget them, because I'd really like to do a routine this year. So I know this wasn't a super compelling video. I know it wasn't a super entertaining video, but let me tell you something. I watched a video last night of this couple who started their first vegetable garden, and it was hilarious. Guys, they were me, you know, when I started gardening, and they made so many mistakes, and they were like, I don't know why this is happening. And then I'm like, because you did this. And I just laughed and giggled, and I just loved to see that couple on their beginning gardening journey. And I thought, you know, I'm not quite at the point where I've got everything together either. And especially here in sort of my nuanced area, it's hard to find other, you know, resources from people who are just kind of at my level. You know, I'm not just starting out, but I'm not really as good as some of those other people. And not only that, but I'm, you know, restricted to a short and sort of difficult growing season here in Minnesota. And so I just wanted to share with you, and make sure I continue to share with you, the challenges that come with this gardening hobby that we have, and this love of gardening, and just let you know, it's okay to screw up. We don't all have our lives together. Our grow rooms are, guess what? Our grow rooms are laundry rooms, and they're a mess, guys. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to keep every plant alive to be a good grower. And that's why I just wanted to post this video and just let you know, if you love it, do it. It's okay, you know, to feel a little sad when you hurt one of our little green buddies. But we do our best, and we learn from it, and some things we may never learn, like Basil. I don't know why I can't get that right. But keep your head up and keep going, because then you have stuff like this. You know, you have this amazing growth, and you have this food, right, for your house, and it's really incredible. So I would just encourage you to acknowledge your failures, see if you can learn from them, and then move on and start growing something else. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to start planting some pepper seeds. I think I'll record it, and if you feel like it, you can join me for that video too. Have a great... You know what I need? I need a good, like... Bye. What should that be? Nothing. See ya!